What's going on, guys? Lon here from Android Authority, and for many years Samsung was highly criticized for their build quality and heavy use of plastic, and each and every year we eagerly waited and hoped that that would all change. Well, with the Galaxy S6 Edge, that change is now, but it didn't just happen overnight. Over the last several months there was an evolution. It all started with the Galaxy Alpha, one of Samsung's first Android smartphones to feature the use of metal, but it was only along the frame. A few months later came the Galaxy Note 4 and Note Edge, which were essentially blown up Galaxy Alphas with beefier specs and an S Pen. More recently, Samsung released their A series, which were a bunch of low to mid-range phones, but they were the first crop of smartphones from Samsung to not feature a sliver of plastic, and that leads us to today. This is the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge. The evolution is complete, and it may have taken longer than we anticipated, but you know what they say. Some of the best things in life are worth waiting for. While Samsung may have taken some inspiration from existing products, there's no denying that the S6 Edge is Samsung's most beautiful phone yet. Samsung has finally given us a phone that is fitting of the flagship title and the high price tag that comes with it. The S6 Edge features a metal frame with chamfered edges that sandwich between two pieces of Gorilla Glass 4, and in the hand it feels solid. The front and back glass features a translucent effect that gives the phone a very unique look, and when the light hits it just right, it can be very eye-catching. Although this is a new direction for Samsung, there are still many design cues that tell you this is a Samsung device through and through. The power button is in its typical location on the right with the volume buttons on the opposing side, both of which are very meaty and tactile. The home button flanked by capacitive recent apps and back button can be found along the front, along with the usual sensors, front-facing camera, and a very bright notification LED light above the display. The IR blaster and nano SIM slot can be found up top, and the usual 3.5mm headphone jack and single speaker have been shifted to the bottom with the micro USB port sitting squarely in between. The heart rate monitor also makes a return on the rear next to the camera. Speaking of the camera, it does protrude quite a bit from the body of the phone, but this isn't anything new. We've seen plenty of other phones out there with protruding camera lenses, and they've seemed to hold up just fine, and so far the S6 Edge seems to be doing the same. The big elephant in the room with this year's design is the lack of expandable storage, a removable battery, and IP certification, which means it's no longer dust and water resistant like it was on the S5, and some may view this as a step backwards. Some may not even care, and to be honest, some may not even really notice. And Samsung has typically always been about function over form, and some may argue that they've leaned really heavily on the function side of things over the last several years, especially with all the hardware and software features that they've piled onto their devices, like the heart rate monitor, air gestures, and whatever else you can think of. And this year they decided to go with form over function, and it's really going to be up to you to decide whether that premium design is worth those sacrifices. Because as of right now, Samsung seems to think so. The star of the show on the S6 Edge is really the display. It's a 5.1-inch Super AMOLED screen with Quad HD resolution, and at a whopping 577 ppi, this is Samsung's sharpest screen yet. Say what you will about Quad HD, but there's no denying that this screen is gorgeous. Obviously, since it's Super AMOLED, you get all the great characteristics that you come to expect, like deep blacks, high contrast ratios, and saturated colors. The color calibration can still be adjusted further in the settings if the default settings don't quite suit your taste. At 600 nits worth of brightness, the screen is extremely vivid and easy to see in broad daylight, and everything from web browsing, games, and video look absolutely fantastic on it.